Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, a gradual emasculation of our country has been happening for decades. So the modern progressive woke movement is not completely to blame. But we seek truth in this committee, so let's talk about it. And the first truth I'll acknowledge is my deep respect for General Scott Perry, a combat veteran, has earned the right to ask his fellow combat veteran anything he wants to ask him on his committee. I joined the Army in 1988, went through boot camp in '89, Military Police Academy right after, one station unit training, Fort McClellan. I didn't join for money. I left money to serve my country. That's why most young soldiers, with the encouragement of their family, which I'll get to in a moment, that's why most young soldiers join the Army. In society, woke is a social discussion. But in the military, woke is weak. And that's the problem. In the 90s, I recall a recruiter friend, he called me. He said, Clay, most of these youngsters were trying to sign up by now. They'd never been in a fist fight. It was an issue. The Army had to make adjustments. He said these kids have never climbed a tree, never been in a fist fight. So this thing has been gradual for a long time. To not acknowledge that is not squared away. That was the 90s. On March the 1st of this year, I was struck looking at the front page of the Epic Times. It says almost 80% of Americans aged 17 to 24 unfit for military service. Department of Defense report says 77% of young Americans physically unqualified to enter the Army, enter the military. Unbelievable. And I was researching at that time the Secretary of the Navy for a meeting with him. Same day, from his website and the Epic Times, same day, most pressing challenges confronting the United States Navy and Marine Corps. 3 of the top 4, climate instability, COVID's ongoing impact, and strengthening a naval culture of inclusiveness and respect. Not readiness and lethality, as this highly qualified combat commanding general noted earlier. Climate change and diversity and COVID. 3 of the top 4 concerns of our United States Navy right now. Since the United States ended the draft in 1973, young adults from southern states have been overrepresented among new military recruits. No other region experiences as wide a disparity in military representation versus population. It's the way it works. Southern states have been providing the bulk of our military recruits for a long time. And what's happening now is families are holding our youngsters back, General. Families are saying, don't join. You're right. I cite your own words, good sir. During the first years of the recent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, many military experts worried that the constant deployments would break the force, since they expected that fewer young Americans would volunteer to serve in a wartime military. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Yet a perilous recruiting crisis began just after the United States fully withdrew from Afghanistan last summer, when Biden was the president, when woke began in the military. We had young American families willing to go and join the military during heavy warfare. These are your words, General, from an article you wrote. So warfare didn't stop young Americans and American families from joining the Army. But woke has, because we're Southern families, we're conservative families, and we're not going to encourage our young men and women to join and endure that stuff. I'd like to have 5 hours with these folks, Mr. Chairman, but it appears my southern drawl has absorbed my 5 minutes here.